Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Al Gore.
That's my name.
That is your name. Al, superintendent. Al, the superintendent. Gore.
Or, as I like to call myself, Super Al.
Super Al. I love it. I know we should. I honestly, there's shirts I have brewing in my head that we need to get you.
I really want that nickname to stick.
Super Al.
Super Al.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. Speaking of, I don't know,
super stuff.
Sure, super stuff. Have you been to arcat.com recently?
I have. Hey, can I interrupt since I'm also interrupting Al?
Absolutely, Super Al, interrupting Al.
You know what we need to give a try out?
No.
You know there's Charrette?
Yes.
And it's kind of like a Pinterest and also a project management for your projects for Arcat. And I can't believe we haven't tried it out yet. So
I can't believe we haven't tried it out either.
So we'll do that, let you all know. As long as we're talking about Arcat, you should know about that because in case you are more efficient than us, you can check it out even before us.
Correct.
But it's exactly kind of what I said is what it looks like, is that Arcat has all this stuff. Now you can combine it, track it, keep it in projects. It looks super cool. Check it out.
Yeah. So if you haven't been to arcat.com recently, you should, because arcat.com is the #1 most used website for finding building product information and has a new look. Arcat has updated their site to get you the data you want that much faster. Their search now allows you to choose what kind of information you want, like CAD, BIM, or specs, and only get results with that data, Al. No extraneous searching. Arcat is also consistently fine-tuning their search engine to make sure you are getting the information you asked for. Of course, it's still free and requires no registration or login. So, if you need building product information and haven't used Arcat recently or have never tried Arcat, head over to arcat.com and try it out. You'll be glad you did.
Cool. If you haven't heard about Dell, who are you?
What planet are you from?
What are you doing?
What planet are you from that Elon Musk is trying to get you?
Dude, to interrupt again, he wants to go to Mars.
Of course.
But you know
he
where
wants
he's
to
going
nuke
first?
Mars. Hashtag nuke Mars.
Yeah, by 2022 or 23.
That's coming up.
It is. So he's first going to do a flyby around the moon.
Just for fun.
Yep. Then take people around. Then land stuff. Then land people on the moon by 2024.
Amazing.
So why is NASA not just like saying like, oh, you do it then?
Abolish NASA.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So speaking of that, you are on Earth, so you have heard about Dell. But you should know about Dell for entrepreneurs because they're not just for big businesses. And if you need a new computer, we have had Dells for a decade.
Over a decade.
Even from college.
We launched our firm using one of the first of its kind quad core processor. Yes. I think we had those computers for I bet 5-7 years. I bet 7 years we used them and they still worked out. It was like one of the best investments. That's one of the critical parts for us launching was be able to have the longevity of these computers.
So this was one of our hacks. Was we were in college and I was in the Army and Lance was he was a Native American, still is as far as I know.
Hey, well, it depends on what I want to identify as. If I'm going, over the little white way, I don't know.
So anyways, Lance was very diligent about getting scholarships and I was getting some money from the Army, right? So we had enough money to put down, get substantial computers.
And Al was super cheap. Here's how cheap Al was in college. Al would do movie night, but instead of, was it $1 movie night or something like that? $1 movie night. But instead of him paying for it, he would go around and ask for change.
Yeah, but I was smart about it.
To earn it.
I would ask the girls for change and then say, you want to go to a movie?
This guy right over here sitting across from me.
People.
Yeah. Setting yourself up for success.
So here's a system. Get yourself a very, very, very good Dell computer. Because then when you get out, you will still be running at a high level. You'll still be able to run all your programs even a couple years later. And if you decide that you need to start your own firm because of a recession or anything else, then you don't have to do that sunk cost of $2,000 to $4,000 into a really, really good computer, because that's where you'll be at. So instead, I was going to do a read, but I'm not even doing a read because
Not even doing a read.
I just said
It's
that.
just reality.
So just do that. Visit Dell.com/inside the firm. This is how they're giving back to you. And you can earn basically 2 to 5% off of your purchase, right? You can also call 1-800-757-8442. Tell them you're with Inside the Firm. Tell them you are best buds with Inside the Firm. They're literally your best friends.
Best friends.
Besides Nick. He's like your second or third cousin friend, right? And your member ID. This is all on our website, InsideTheFirmPodcast.com. But if you are on the phone, you might be over 50. That's just a joke. But the member ID is 53001570479. Rewind that. Get it.
And if you
Go
want to be, and if you want to be just like Lance, get a Precision 7540. It's awesome.
Deck it out if you're a student.
Deck it out.
Get crazy.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
Tell you what we're talking about. One of our developers that we worked with for probably the longest. I remember going out at the job site with him at one point. He was very first development. He was doing stuff that is very similar to us. He's probably twice as big as far as the number of units, but he looked very Gantt one day. He looked like he was shaken one day, right? And
is he my best friend?
He's one of your best friends.
Okay.
And I look at Al. Yeah. And I look at Al some days, and then I look at myself, and my wife looks at me. Actually, She goes, she doesn't say I'm thin. She actually is like, you are fit, and I'm like, yeah, I feel fit.
Oh, that's
because I am. I'm 175, lean, mean construction machine. Al.
Okay, I'll make fun of that. He had 4 shirts on today.
Yeah,
that he just took off, and I was like, that's a skinny little dude.
Yep.
You do got some bones and some muscles on you.
I got some muscles. Yeah. But we are thin. We're on the developer diet, so I want to talk about that, what it means to be at the last 5% of your development, and kind of recap for everybody what kind of a scramble it is and how many moving parts there are. I don't know if there's ever been it's like right when you start the project, there's not that many moving parts. There really isn't as far as breaking ground. Oh, the excavator's out there. And if he's a foundation guy too, great. That's the same person. They're just doing their job. Not a lot of questions to answer, especially if you've done a very simple project like foundation like ours. But eventually, you get to the point of finishing everything up and just doing stuff like getting the gas turned on, getting the electricity turned on, getting the water turned on. Yesterday, we had 9 different subs on site. When Alex and I showed up after. We had we're teaching. The guys, a couple of our guys were coming up to us and they're like, everybody's on top of each other today, and the painters are yelling at the tile or at the road guys because the road guys went to open the window. It was like chaos when we got there. And it was about noon. So Al, I think you met with somebody right when you got there, and then I ran home and changed real quick. And when I got back at about 1, my whole goal was to set 1 vanity cabinet. And this is a 15-minute task for me.
Yep.
15 done. It's very simple. You just got to do a couple things and 2 screws. It all takes 2 screws. Yep. 3, I guess. I didn't set that cabinet. I ran circles and was just phone calls, talking to people nonstop. Everybody's got their little, I wouldn't call them pithy problems, but close to it. Like, just get it done.
Yes. That segues. So that same day I came back and Jason's like, he didn't say you wouldn't believe it, but he was just like, there was just so many people. And I didn't want to be a jerk, but it's like, this is my every morning.
Welcome.
And then, but the thing I did tell him is like, and on top of that, Jason, on top of you being super Al, like subbing in, I still got 14 phone calls while I was at school teaching. And I took most of them.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So during those, like, we almost need to tell the guys, and maybe they don't know, there's 2 things that are kind of a revelation when you get into this position, right? One is people ask you the questions, and a lot of times you won't know the answer, but it doesn't matter. You just think like, what would I do? Oh, I would do this. And then you're the only one in charge. I mean, I guess you're like the same as to you, but like we normally don't run any piddly little questions by each other, right?
Not really.
Yep. So it's like oh, I guess I'm in charge, so whatever I says go. Like, the answer doesn't almost matter sometimes. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
I think that the deliberation to the answer that doesn't matter isn't what matters. That's what I think it is.
Exactly. It's almost like, guys, you could have came up with this answer.
I know.
It's just that you're asking me and there's no one above me.
Hey, Warren, the electrician, you could have just cut that plate.
Yep.
And just put it in there. I'm not going to complain.
Yep.
Does the light switch work? Great.
And it goes back to the time at Leapskin when I was an intern. One of the bosses was mad at me and my other intern friend because we didn't have this big gigantic model painted that was over like $100,000. Like, we didn't know what color to paint it. Like, you pick it. And we're like, you want us to pick this? So we like had 4 choices, and then we just caught Daniel Leapskin in the hall, and we go, which color do you like? And he just pointed at one. He didn't even know what the hell we were talking about. So then we could blame it on him, if it actually happened. But we could have picked it. No one would have known. So like, that's what I'm getting at. And the second thing is then, okay, rather than just picking, how can you make a philosophy that has easier decisions? Because I got 2 questions out there.
Interesting.
And one was, hey, are we gonna paint this metal beam or not that's exposed? And I didn't know, and I wasn't gonna ask Lance. I was like, I don't know. Do I need to answer that now? And like, oh, they're gonna weld and leave marks. And regardless, I go, just have them weld. So like, regardless if we were gonna paint it or not, the answer was move forward.
The answer is move forward. Yeah.
Then I got another question like 20 minutes later. Oh, they want to cut the HVAC, the metal people, to get their things in. That's not, so I go, no, have them cut their own railings and weld their own railings together, because cutting someone else's stuff is not moving forward. Like,
They dented it instead. Oh my Lord, I
but
can't wait.
that's what we're going to iterate to a person, but we should sometime do it to whole team. Like, if you just have that in your head, like, what is moving forward and what is not moving forward in this context? Because in architecture, I think a lot of times we can just sit there, go back and forth, and like do mock-ups and stuff like that, but not on a job site, not with deadlines, not with things being pushed back, not with 14 people, not with the city.
What it makes me think is, what is the best way to phrase this to somebody, in the sense that, and the phrase I think needs to be something like, is this decision a deal breaker? Like, I'm not sure any of those, like, with the decisions that you made, none of them were deal breakers. Like, what is a deal breaker to I don't know. Is it a deal breaker? That's what I want to, like, is it a deal breaker? No? Okay, then just make the decision. Like, I wouldn't hire you, and maybe it's our fault for not just iterating to our guys or even our subcontractors that I actually trust your decision here. Yeah. But then there has been some of those where there's been some pretty bad decisions that happen on site.
Well, we've done it too.
Yeah.
Me and you have done it.
Yeah.
So it's weird. You got to accept some of that it's going to happen. And even with your subs, like, if you're going to make bad decisions, then they'll make some too, right? So examples is the sewer. They're going to have to clean that all up. But the same example with us is we're going to have to do bullnose around, all of that stuff. So like, it's definitely not a one-size-fit-all thing, but it's like an 80% correct. Is this a deal breaker? Move forward.
Yeah,
it's like
75%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe it's taking the fear out of moving forward. That's what it really should be, is take the fear out of moving forward by knowing that, look, 75% of the time of 75% of your decisions are probably going to be okay. It may be even more than that. I would say 90% of your decisions are going to be okay. It's going to be okay to make those decisions, and it's not going to be a deal breaker, and you're still moving forward. So take the fear out of moving forward.
And then, okay, this is what we should tell the guys, but we should also tell the guys like this, because you could ask me or Lance. I want to say 85% of their decisions will be right?
85. I feel comfortable with 85.
Okay.
Sure.
And then you could ask Lance or I, but we're only at 95%. 95% of our decisions are going to be right.
Me and you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's say there's 6 of you. If you all don't make a decision and then Lance and I make all the decisions, then we're bottlenecked. For that 10%.
Yeah.
So we realize that there's a 10% gap.
And we're okay with it. And we know that we're already comfortable accepting the failures.
Bam.
Yeah, and we
That's
are.
it.
You just got to pay for them. All you got to do, everybody.
You just gotta pay.
All you got to do, everybody, is you just got to,
It's so funny you say that.
You
though,
just got to pay for all this
because I've gotten so many phone calls from you, like, this is going to cost more money. I understand what you want to do, Al. I understand, and I'm behind you, but this is going to cost more money. So
Al has stepped since Al has stepped in as Super Al. Al has told me like, well, I just had to decide that I'm going to do I'm going to do these tasks that I am being the boss of my way, and I go totally fair, but it's going to cost more money.
yeah, yep.
It's going to cost more money, right? And he's like, yep. I'm like, okay, well, whatever.
There's stuff we didn't know too, but I'm glad I made this decision. I knew. There's a lot of things that I know that I don't know, but we do anyways, like this whole project. I knew with the road, and I don't know how to convey it. We don't know enough about all this road base and all that. Not that it's difficult, but you saw how expert their whole team was.
Well, okay, so just so everybody knows what was going to happen was... this is our very first development. We are not full of cash, and I'm not sure any developer is ever really full of cash. But when it's your first project, you definitely are not full of cash, and you are trying to just get through the project. So there's been a lot of stuff where we have self-performed. One of them was going to be, screw it, we're going to do the grading, we're going to do the road base. Which is, if you have the time to do it, sure, I think you could do it. I think you could rent the right machinery. But I think I think Alex is right in that this is going to take us do you know how long this is going to take us? And me thinking we can do anything and just sacrifice our bodies and our time and family time and all of that. These guys came in and knocked it out in one day. I mean, it was just, they had, the way Rick could drive that backhoe, even the guys were saying, he is like threading a needle with this thing. It's incredible.
And not only that they had a Bobcat and some guys with shovels, and then they had 3 dump trucks picking stuff up and then getting road base at the same time.
I'm so happy with their work.
So yes, me and you could have done it, but we would have had 1 or 2 machines, and then we would have had we would have only rented 1 dump truck. I know we would have. Mm-hmm. And it would have just taken 3 or 4 days, and we it was just, I don't know, watching that I was like, oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Good job.
I mean, honestly, I wish the margin would have been actually really good instead of just, well, I guess we made some money at the end of the day. But the margin, the next project we do, I want us to really do our due diligence. Wow, this margin is incredible. This margin is sick. We have, I know we said we weren't going to do this, but we have packed as many possible units as we can on this project, so that we can have that kind of play where I'm like, oh yeah, I've just hired medium to the best.
Yep.
Medium to the best subs.
Yep.
And people the ones that I've weeded out, I've worked with, I trust them, get a nice tight schedule going. Because we were just honestly flying by the seat of our pants at this, because we, again, if you study the boom and bust cycle, right? If you know that the way the interest rates work, it's gonna be in a recession again. This is how it works. You have 7 years of good, 7 years of bad, generally, and we're there. So we knew well, there's no turning back. We're just gonna do it, and we're gonna get it done. And we're literally 21 days away from our first closing. So
yep. And here's the lesson to that. So our banker that's going to give us the loan, hopefully for our new headquarters, right? He now has all the numbers, right? And he called me up. He's like, I can't believe you guys did this.
I can't believe you pulled it off.
Yep.
Which actually, to me, I was like, that kind of boosts my ego a little bit.
Yeah. But he's like, Al, I would have told you not to do this.
Yeah.
He's like, I would have told you, do not do this. He's like,
do this.
You're already done. So I'm glad you did it. But he's like, I would have strongly advised you don't do this. And we had a conversation, but this is how I'll break it down to all the listeners, right? You're probably already an architect if you're an architect listening to this, right? Your next step will be architect developer. So that means architect and buying the land and just being the developer, because there's enough work in coordinating all that, coordinating the tile, coordinating the subs, coordinating the interior designers, not the subs, sorry, but just all the title work, paperwork, all the real estate questions, so just architect developer, right? Lance and Alex skipped a few steps because there's architect developer contractor. Mm-hmm. So now you're the contractor too. Yep. That should be your second step, not your first step like us, right? But then
you think you should go architect, contractor?
No, I think you're already an architect. You should be architect developer. That's your next project.
Oh.
Then architect developer contractor.
3.
Then you can do what we did, which the banker would have advised back to: architect, developer, contractor, and sub. That's where we got crazy, because it was sub Lance for a long time while doing his regular stuff. It was sub Al. So we're literally doing cabinet casework. We're literally a sub in that. We're literally doing roofing sub stuff. We're literally doing placing in fixtures.
There's almost no part of the construction process where we haven't self-performed at least a portion of it. Even the foundation. I did the damp proofing on the foundation. I did the insulation, Ross and I. And then framing, we did some of the framing. We've touched almost every single part of it, maybe except electrical, plumbing, and gas and stuff like that. But it's no joke. So yeah, architect is developer. Maybe you should
then contractor. Then if you see enough of that and you're like, oh, I could take over some of these subtasks.
Especially if you're a sole proprietor. I know Stella Osborne is a listener of this podcast, and she's trying to raise, I think, a couple $1 million to get to almost an 8-figure project, and just as their down payment and everything to get going. And I think she's only doing architect as developer, and she's a sole proprietor, so good. That's the right thing to do. Yep. I think the only way you can leap to the 3-prong effect, like Alex and I did. Maybe. I mean, I'm trying, I guess I'm just speaking for everybody here, but that's my just honest from the gut, shooting from the hip. If you have a business partner, it's like when you went down to the Texas AIA chapter and spoke.
If you have a business partner, but then also this is our advice, just like the banker, or you could just not listen to the advice and just punish yourself immensely. Someone asked, I think I told on this podcast, I don't even know how to answer the question, how are you doing anymore? I have no idea how to answer that question. But one statement I said to someone is you remember when I would say I was busy, back in the day, half a year ago, 2 years ago, those were all a lie compared to now.
Fake news.
They were all a lie. That is not busy. This is insanity. So you could just be insane.
Some of our subs are. They work work even. Some of them even. At this point, these last 6 weeks we've been working just as much as the craziest subs. Painters works almost 7 days a week, and we've been there.
You could be architect contractor if you're just doing a house, because you're not developing multiple units.
Yeah.
So you could do that.
Yeah. So we are in the last 5%, and that's the one thing I wanted to talk about is all the moving parts and everything. And what are some of the surprises that you found on the developer side of I didn't realize we have to do that or whatever?
The only big surprise is when the city or certain companies like Excel Energy want to be helpful or unhelpful, and how I kind of already knew this on the architectural side, and it's weird. Sometimes a zoning rule, they'll say there's no way you can break it, and other times they're almost trying to help you figure out a way around. And I almost think it just comes down to the personality that you're working with. And I should have translated that more over to, that's going to happen here. But it's way different when it's going to freeze in 2 days and the XL guy won't come on to turn off your gas. So please remember to do that today.
You talked. Okay.
Just so I don't forget, because I'm heading out, because I got to do this other thing. Right. So you're on it.
Yep.
Good.
First thing when I get back.
That's the biggest surprise. It's just a stone wall of money and pushing back timelines. And that's it.
That's it. Dumb.
What's yours?
Oh man. Well, I've been subcontractor land, so I there's nothing I could really say. But I was hoping you would, because you're dealing with more of the paperwork, I guess. I don't know. There was something that came across her desk today from my wife that said we need to do something with the plot plan or whatever.
Oh yeah, I got to figure out all that stuff.
Plat map and CCRs.
Yep.
So that's coming.
Yep. So next week I'm gonna. Your wife gave me a whole list of stuff to do, so I'll do that. I gotta put this in my notes right now, or I'll forget. So Lance, talk about what.
How about this? You already talked about the architect, contractor, blah, 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 forward welding contractor. Perfect. I have something to talk to you about, ask you about. So I had what was his name the other day? Let me see what his name was. I had him on. I don't want to mispronounce it. It was episode, I think, 131. I just had on something McCarthy. Come on, computer, pull it up here. There's an article that this guest pointed me to, and I wanted to read it to you, Al, because I wanted to see what you thought about it. It's an older one. It's sort of like a lawsuit or something. Okay, Brian McCartney. I had him on an episode 132. Sorry about that. And he brought up something that was interesting to me, and that is, so this is from Thursday, July 5th, 1990. The Department of Justice files antitrust case against the American Institute of Architects. You heard about this?
I have.
The Department of Justice filed a civil antitrust suit against the American Institute of Architects, AIA, today, alleging that this is 1990, alleging that it unreasonably restrained price competition in the sale of architecture services. The parties also filed a consent decree that would settle the suit. The suit, alleging a violation of Section 1 of the Sherman Act, and proposed consent decree were filed in the U.S. District Court of Washington, D.C. So the complaint alleged that the AIA and co-conspirators had entered into an unlawful agreement to prohibit AIA members from engaging in competitive bidding, discounting fees, or providing free services. According to the complaint, the Chicago chapter of the AIA in September of 1984 adopted a compensation and fee policy statement which prohibited such practices. Can you imagine if we were still operating in that? We're not with the AIA, but...
Yep. If we were operating by basically saying, like, we won't discount fees.
We won't discount fees. We're going to agree to whatever fees you tell us to charge, and that's that. Just because we're in a club.
Oh.
That doesn't seem very free market to me.
No.
That seems very protectionist to me.
Yeah.
And it blows me away that this was only 19 years ago.
Yeah, but what's
29 years ago.
On the flip side, what is also crazy about this is that, so the Entree Architect Facebook group, people have discussed, hey, what are your fees? Stuff like that. Because people want to know where they're at. That's, anytime I've asked, it's because I want to know.
I don't think it's bad. People want to undercut each other.
Yep. But do you know what? People still bring this up. You can't discuss that. We'll get in trouble. We'll get,
They've said that?
Oh, yes. Yep. This has come up multiple times. And it's almost like an overreaction. I feel like the AIA, like, oh, we can't talk about, if we mention the word fees or whatever, we're going to get sued. So in my opinion, what I've heard went too far, but maybe like we weren't deep into how much it got. It says at the end of this that they were going to charge them $50,000 to pay for the cost of the investigation. Maybe in 1990 that was a lot of money for the AIA, but what?
Yeah, craziness. I'm glad that's over with.
Yeah.
So that was a little back in time.
Way
stuff.
back machine.
Way back in time. Speaking of back in time, a guy that's been here since, I don't know, the Ice Ages.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Nick, it's funny. He sounds young. He's 74 years old.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Hello, best friends. I hope all is well. And with as busy as we've all been, maybe Al is right, and a best friends summit is in order. Al, in your free time, why don't you go ahead and start planning that? A reading. The old classic. What do you do about the negative person talking behind your back and trying to bring you down? Sure, you can confront them and join them in their little game. You can turn your life into a grade school gossip hall. Of course, there are times, unfortunately, that you will have to engage with people like this. You may have to set the record straight on a serious allegation. You might have to challenge statements that might be damaging to the team or the mission. And when you have to engage, do it professionally. Say something like, I heard you had some pointers for me about how I'm doing my job. I'd love to get your feedback so I can tighten up my game. A statement like that will likely diffuse the scenario. The person will know that there are informants who will tell you what is going on, and that will likely stifle the situation. But let me tell you what my preferred methodology is for this situation. It is simple. Ignore and outperform. Yes, while you're over there watching me and talking about me, I'm working. I'm working hard. I'm taking things to the next level. You keep gossiping, I'll keep working. You keep talking smack, I'll keep working. You keep chattering about things, I'll keep working. You keep focusing on what everyone else is doing. I'll keep focusing on what I can do right. And when you finally look around at where you are and where I am, you will realize that you have nothing to talk smack about, because you will lose and I will win. Outwork and outperform every last one of them. Cayko.
So that reminds me, last night I was reading Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. This is chapter 8, and I pulled it up quickly. A man standing by a spring of clear, sweet water and cursing it, while the fresh water keeps on bubbling up. He can shovel mud into it, or dung, and the stream will carry it away, washing itself clean, remaining unstained. To have that, not a cistern, but a perpetual spring. So it just reminded me of how you emotionally react. Be the river when people are throwing mud at you. Like, this is of no consequence to me. I am stream.
I am stream.
You are mud.
Hear me roar.
Exactly.
That's how I felt. So tomorrow will be my 40th. It is October 25th, 2019. The 26th will be my 40th day working in a row minus 1 day. I got sick 2 weekends ago for 1 day.
I made fun of you.
And then Al made fun of me. And then Al got sick.
For 1 day.
And then I made fun of him. That's what we do.
That bit.
So my goal, I'm going to Mexico as soon as we're almost basically done with this project for a week with my family. And that's the way I've been thinking about it, is just keep moving forward. Don't stop. If you just keep, because the thing about this project is that even though there's so many moving parts, as long as I'm moving forward every single day, the next day there's going to be less to do. There has to be, because there's only a finite number of moving parts on this project. So as long as I'm doing something that day, no matter what, no matter how much everybody's whining, no matter how many, no matter what the weather's like, doesn't matter. I'm getting this done, then nobody can stop me, and I'm going to do it.
Yep.
There's Al yawning. He needs a nap.
I'm going to go home and nap, not pay attention to my kids or my wife. And that will work out well for me.
Yeah. Any closing words, Al?
I do. If you want, how should I place this? So even if you're not in a stressful situation with a deadline, you always need to be building up your skills so that you have tools in your arsenal, so things aren't so stressful or so hard. So whether you're in a mess or not, but if you're in learning Revit, I am so tired.
He is tired.
If you're in architecture and you don't know Revit, you should learn it. And we believe the best way is through having us train you, because we train at school and we train other professionals.
He has a rocket ship you can get on.
It's called Revit Rocket Ship. So go to revitrocketship.com. Money back guaranteed. Learn Revit, get ahead of the game, learn from all of the experience that we've gained, and give yourself a boost up. So that's all I got.
Here's what I got is, if you are listening to this on iTunes, I want you to go to the iTunes app. I want you to scroll down to our podcast, and I want you to scroll down until you can see the 5 stars. And if those aren't lit up with 5 stars, let's say there's 4, put 5 stars right on top of that. Leave us a review. If you leave us a 5-star review, don't forget you can email Alex at akg@f9productions.com, and he will send you a free copy of his book, The Creativity Code. With that, I guess we will just talk to you next week.